The agenda been posted?
Yes, it was posted on my time.
Okay, roll call.
Director Ambrosi. Here. Vice President Boydston,
Here.
Director Brown. Here. Director Reynolds.
Here.
President Warren.
Here. Any additions or deletions to the agenda from the board? No. Okay. Now we have our segment for public comment. Last meeting, we had lots of comments and we had real good attendance. Almost, but now there's not that many people here, so I'm a little bit disappointed. Okay. But in any event, we did have a lot of good comments and a lot of good questions. It's good to see that our customers and the public are interested in what we're doing. We welcome their input. There was a lot of comments and questions and interest about our finances, which is obviously very important. And so we welcome those comments and we appreciate our customers and the public being interested in our finances. And we look forward to the public's comments and questions and interest again. I would say that any comments you want to make to the board, please make them during your opportunity for public comments. There shouldn't be any, while another member of the public especially is making their comments, there shouldn't be any remarks or comments about the comments of other members of the public. I would remind everyone that it is a small room and we can hear, okay? So even comments that might be made you think are very soft, we can hear those comments, or sometimes we can hear those. And especially if there's profanity involved, there will be a warning about not to make such comment. And if that happens again, then you'll have to leave. Okay, so we want everything to be friendly and civil, and hopefully it'll be that way. So this is the section for public comment on matters within the jurisdiction of the board that are not on the agenda. So if you have a comment on something that is on the agenda, please wait until that matter is called, and then your comments and questions will be much more pertinent. The board may or may not respond to questions or comments. It's in the best interest of the person speaking to the board to be concise and to the point. We have a time limit of 5 minutes per individual. And anyone who wants to speak is requested to provide a request to speak for. Do we have any members of the public who requested to speak?
Yes, we have Mr. Schultz.
Michael.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Okay, this is a prepared written statement expressing the views and opinions of our residents who live here in our community of Arrowhead Woods. The biggest issues, as always, that LACSD has to face is the constant battle with PFAS and the false information being regurgitated by a public website, Arrowhead Woods Informed. The main author continues to claim our water rights are in jeopardy in the woods. That is a lie. And also, Mr. Gambartanian's claim that he is a local resident is not true. He lives in Los Angeles County, not Arrowhead Woods. He just happens to own a piece of property here. Our community residents do not like outsiders claiming they are residents when they are not, and then claim to serve our community. Arrowhead Woods Informed serves the FTR Airbnb industry, not our community. At last month's board meeting, the Arrowhead Woods Informed authors tried to redefine the definition of the word resident, which would then give them some credibility to shame and smear our water company, LACSD. This website's ambition is to destroy our water company by putting out false and misleading information for the last 3 years. While at the same time, our residents are exposing these authors who are not even registered to vote in our county of San Bernardino. This ambition to destroy our water company, LACSD, is of great concern to our residents and our community. LACSD needs to continue the battle, as always, against PFAS and continue to keep our drinking water safe. PFAS is located throughout our community's properties. And this includes most of our roofs and all the way down to the cleaning materials for our vehicles. It has been around since the 1940s, more than likely the 1920s. We also have PFAS throughout our lake. Most dock, boat wax, inner tube, and inflatables, and lily pads have PFAS material. LACSD continues to make ALA aware of what materials contain PFAS. And hopefully ALA prioritizes this issue and begins in some fashion or form to safeguard against materials that contain and create PFAS in our lake, which supplies the majority of our drinking water. Hopefully, ALA won't attempt to downplay these contaminants and these truths and evade responsibility, as the problem might escalate more and more. ALA should not kick the can down the road like our water tower. Contaminated water affects all of our local residents and our community's future. Since the last LACSD board meeting, Mr. Garen Bartani and Mr. Ted Hike requested public records requesting our LACSD customers' billing zip codes and service zip codes. Our research throughout that shows 30% plus are full-time residents, not 18% that Mr. Garen Bartani always states. Also, we are glad to report that our local residents were able to review last month's LACSD board meeting due to Diane Ostreich's article contained in the Mountain News. Our residents were able to see the misinformation about LACSD firsthand and the hatred that this public website poses towards our community. We thank LACSD for hearing our frustrations as always and opinions, and hope everyone enjoys Labor Day weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There's none.
Oh, all right. Okay. Very good. Next is the consent calendar. These consent items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, be acted on at one time without any discussion. Is there any request from the board to delete any matter from the consent calendar? No. Okay. Any public comment on the consent calendar?
There's none.
None? Okay. All right, we'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar. Move to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good, thank you. Next, we have information and discussion items. First is John O'Brien.
Thank you, President Worm.
Thank you.
On page 26 of your packet is my fourth quarter financial statement and investment report. Since this is the end of the fiscal year, I'd like to walk through the report in a little more detail. So, quick little presentation to run us through. So these are the items that we're going to be covering. Our current annual audit, as well as a comprehensive financial report, our revenue and expense overview, fund balances, other policies, give a little brief overview of, as well as customer service and metering. These are all preliminary. They're not, they have not been finalized. We're currently undergoing our annual audit. The reports, the results should be reported in October or November, depending on which meeting we have. And just a reminder, the reason we have annual independent audit reports is an outside independent company comes in and provides reasonable assurance that financial statements do not have any type of material misstatement with them. In addition to that, it also kind of gives us a good view of the financial position of the organization, benefits of strong financial position. We want to make sure that we're able to always meet our cost of service, infrastructure needs, both replacement, repair, maintenance, things along those lines. Cost of debt, interest expense get much higher if we're in a weaker position. I'll kind of cover debt a little bit further in. We want to make sure that we're strong in case of emergencies, unforeseen events. PFAS definitely would be one that kind of pops up on that, as well as pension sustainability. Slide. So moving to revenue and expense overview. First, this is the year-end operating revenue. The table, I don't know how to make it more exciting or make it understandable, but basically we are 6% over prior year operating revenue. And then the second set of columns is where we are according to budget. So we came in really close to budget, within 1%. So long and the short of it is our revenue is set by a third party, once again, that sets our rates, determines what our needs are and provides us with our rates. And yeah, so far so good. It's looking good for the year. So,
Question, if I can.
yeah, please stop me at any time.
Sure. We had which is really good, 888,000 from investment income.
Yes, so that's non-operating income.
Right. which is
So-
real- And we appreciate the staff's hard work on, I wish I could do that.
Yes.
But looking into the future, I mean, into next year, do we think we're gonna have with interest rates or?
Well, I mean,
Who knows,
it's,
right?
yeah, I mean, you can't know for certain, with any degree of certainty, but yes, I'm pretty confident that we'll still, I don't see interest rates moving much. President Trump is definitely trying to get interest rates down, but the only interest rate that the Federal Reserve controls is just the overnight rate, which, is a bit of a tether to other interest rates, but just because the Federal Reserve, changes their overnight rate doesn't mean mortgage rates come down. It doesn't mean that, bank CD rates come down. It is a bit of a guide, but the market ultimately determines it. I think, the present administration is hoping that, if you can guide the Fed rate down, then the rest of the market will kind of follow. But for the next 12 months, I think
Hopefully from
be
our
able to.
perspective, we'll be able to come close at least to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Slide. Oh, I'm sorry, back one.
Okay.
All right, so these are our operating expenses. So operating expenses are the expenses, our day-to-day operations. It tends to be the things that we have more control over. So as you can see on here, we look at the total bottom column. We're about 8% higher than we were in the previous year and about 5% under budget. We are a bit higher compared to the previous year, the biggest one being the water purchases. Because of the PFAS and the additional water purchase, that is probably like the most sizable piece that kind of sticks out compared to prior year. But as you can see, we still were able to come in 5% under budget. And particularly with the two smaller enterprises, DLP and Rim Forest, because they're so small, you get one additional kind of event, it kind of blows the budget up, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. DLP under by 13%, Rim Forest over by 8%. Once again, trying to stick that budget on such a small enterprise is really, really difficult. So I think staff did a great job of controlling what they could control. So, yes.
So are you finished with the expenses?
Yeah.
Okay, so in looking at the breakdown there, we did have quite a bit of reduction on some of these big number categories.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
The fleet and equipment, we were down significantly. Outside services, legal, down. I mean, that was the star, 38%. So a lot in these larger categories, we were down significantly.
Yes, yeah.
So, that's a compliment, I guess, to the staff. And thank you, Joe.
Catherine's doing well.
Keeping us out of trouble and our other legal kind of things. Right. I wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so next is non-operating revenue, and President Worm had mentioned the investment income. So we have two areas of non-operating revenue that are significant, one being property tax and the other being investment income. To touch on property tax real quick, we're 7% over budget, $300,000. Really just represents the continued strength of the real estate market. And I don't see that changing. Buyers and sellers seem to be in a bit of a standoff right now. So as long as we don't see prices coming down or a whole lot of exchange, I think we're going to continue to see these strong numbers. And then same with investment income, almost 900 grand over budget, about 400 grand over last year. Once again, I think that'll be pretty sustained. Even if rates do come down, there's a lag. So if rates come down in another 6 months, it'd probably be another 6 months before we'd really feel any kind of bite on it. So I feel pretty confident that we'll at least hit budget, or I think we'll hit the same numbers as last year. So should continue to be strong. All right, next, moving on to fund balances, which is kind of how we end the year. So the district has a cash reserve policy in place that covers 3 of our funds. First one's the operating fund. So we essentially kind of seed each enterprise with 25% of its budgeted expenses for the year. We then also have a rate stabilization fund, which we target 20% of the budgeted revenue. In case we had a unexpected downturn in revenue, we have a reserve to draw on rather than having to worry about affecting any kind of operations. And then finally, the capital improvement fund, which we have a minimum funding target of our annual budgeted depreciation plus an additional 10%. And as of the end of the year, when we're doing our closing entries, all funds are fully funded for the year end of 2025. So if we go look a little bit closer at the capital improvement funds, we can see once again that our minimum target that we're trying to hit is 4.7 million for our capital improvement funds. And that is used to, any future projects, any plans, any maintenance, large maintenance projects, things along those lines. Was our target. Our actual was 8.3 million. So we came in, we'll say over budget, if we want to call it that, or over our target of $3.5 million. And then the final column is our ending balance for the capital improvement fund across each of the respective enterprises. So then if we move on to the overall cash balances for each of the enterprises, we ended up essentially adding 4.4 million to the ending cash balances, or up about 8.3%. Once again, keeps us in a strong position. Next. All right, so next I just want to touch on a couple of the other kind of policies that the board has put in place. So the first is we've continued with the board placing pay-as-you-go versus financing as a priority. This keeps us from having to carry much debt. The only external debt that we have right now is about 14 million from a bond issue from 2016. Each year it's coming down. I think I put in my report, it's down to $870 per connection, and the 2025 number should be reduced further. So once again, just showing, keeping on track with the board's vision of kind of pay as you go versus financing everything. Along with that, the district has maintained its AA+ credit rating. I believe that is the highest credit rating for an organization our size. Once again, that comes into play if we do have to go to the market to try to issue credit or anything along those lines, which, you know, we may have to with the PFAS treatment coming up. This will come into play. We'll have, you know, the most favorable rates possible because we've maintained a high credit rating. We've finished the year with stable headcount, remains at 56. We haven't added any new staff over the year. And lastly, pension, we continue to make our fulfill all of our pension obligations. I'm not going to really go into that this month because next month I'll be providing a analysis and an update on that. And then, yeah,
I
please.
would like to make a couple of comments here.
Yeah.
Regarding our headcount. It's down significantly, but I can say our staff is doing a lot more work with 56 than we did with 72. The regulatory environment creates a far greater burden on us. And also our so much more of our work being done internally rather than going out to a contractor. We've got a significant amount of work being done in-house. So we're doing a lot more with 56 now than we did with 72 a few years ago.
And at that peak, we also did not even have rainforest.
Yeah, so. Do you have a hand raised or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Other water companies that we've researched within the last week to 2 weeks are significantly over budget compared with the LDCSP. So you guys stand head and shoulders above the rest of the water companies. We just like you and the public to know that.
Thank you. And looking at, that was a really good observation there, that the per capita debt has gone down significantly by about a third. Now compare that, say, with the federal government or the state, okay? I mean, I don't know how many other government agencies can say that the debt has been reduced rather than increased. So, and I attribute that to the hard work of our staff. And that's the result of that is our good credit rating.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead.
So lastly, I'll touch on customer service and metering, two departments that also report to finance. They're both kind of frontline. Customer service handles, obviously, any incoming calls, any questions. They also handle a lot of payments, processing, things along those lines. And so I dug in a little bit and I'll try to, I don't feel like I talk about them enough. So on my quarterly reports, I'm going to start adding a little piece here for them. So in the past 3 months, they have received or placed 5,287 phone calls. And we get a lot of positive feedback because when people call, and sometimes they're even startled that it's a person that picks up the phone. So anyway, ratepayers seem to appreciate the kind of the thought and care. And then on our metering department, they're the ones that essentially take, every single connection has a meter. Every meter has a computer. That means there's over 10,000 computers out there in the field that are subject to the elements, to snow plows, to gophers, to teenagers, to everything. And they keep all of that running so that we're able to receive accurate data for both billing as well as consumption. And on that consumption piece, in the past 3 months, the metering department has responded to 313 suspected customer leaks. Because we do have such good infrastructure on that metering, we're able to see, within 24 hours, if there's unusual usage. So I say suspected leaks because it's not always a leak. If someone's toilet's running, it's something they'll pop up and they'll get, really, depending on the size, they'll get an email or a phone call, depending on, what kind of contact information. But the 313 number up there is actual, our people going to, actually physically going to the residents and checking out, see what's going on.
In a day.
It comes out to about 12 a day, depending on. Yeah. And,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, no.
3 months, it was 300, not 300.
Yeah, it's,
Okay, got it.
so it comes out to about 12 a day is what they essentially go to. Probably about 5 or 6 of them a day are these suspected leaks. And that is everything. I'm happy to take any questions.
Public questions, comments?
It's hard to ask questions because the results were so good. You give us a tough task.
Well, staff does a great job of watching expenses and, they make my job easier. I don't have to come in and try to explain away, certain things. So no, they do a great job.
I do have a comment online. I believe it's Mr. Vartanian, MacBook guest. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have two questions. The paragraph that you had on the bond debt, you currently said it's down to $870 per connection. Is that sewer connection or is that water connection or is that both connections added together? And also the $870, what's the total amount of debt on that bond? You gave it per connection, but I don't know if it's water or sewer. So if you can expand on that a little bit. And then the second question that I have is, you just discussed your cash and investment report, which totals, if my numbers are correct, 57.2 million. Why would LACSD have to go out and get a bond for PFAS remediation when it has cash and investments of $57.2 million? And those are my two questions. And then, just finally this, I don't know if the president can answer this or the general manager can answer this. How in the world does Mr. Michael Schultz know that Ted Hayek did a CPRA request of all the billing zip codes for LACSD? How is he getting that information? Those are my questions. Thank you.
So the bond was refinancing and is it both?
It was, yeah, there is wastewater and water included in that bond, but the per connection, I'm not sure if you used sewer connection count to get that per connection.
Right, so yeah, it's so to answer your first question, the bond covers both enterprises, water and wastewater, and it is a refunding bond from 2016, and a refunding bond is essentially called like a refinancing of kind of multiple debt issues that the district had at the time that are then kind of combined into one. The current amount of it is approximately $14 million outstanding. So it's an obligation on the district, not necessarily on one enterprise.
It
Is that
is, yeah,
correct?
it's
You
on
agree
the,
with that?
mhm,
Okay,
it's secured by revenue from both enterprises.
right. And then, so as far as $870, that's per connection. So I believe I used the largest number of connections, which would be our wastewater. And then, I'll let, from my point of view, as far as the $57 million, and having to possibly take on debt for the PFAS. One point to make would be that the $57 million is across all 4 enterprises. the wastewater being the largest. So the PFAS is a water treatment, so that would apply to, to the water enterprise that does not have full use of the $57 million. And then also, I'm not in a position to say that the district is going to go out and issue a bond for the treatment. I'm simply saying that if we did need to go out for it, we're in a favorable position because of our credit rating and strong financial position. So if I gave that impression, I apologize. I did not mean to make it sound like that we were going to go out for that.
Good, well, thank you. Any other?
There's none.
There's none? All right, very good, thank you. Next, we have operation manager report, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This is my operations manager's report. It gives an update on water delivered in the calendar year. So it starts on page 44 of your packet. If you go to page 49, I believe, is where I have the analysis, and I'll go over some things that jumped out at me, and then afterwards I'll take any questions that you may have. So first bullet point, through 7 months of 2025, we have like consumption's very similar. It's down 2.8%, about 20 acre feet less this year versus last year. So very similar. Lake draw is down 90 acre feet through 7 months this year versus last year. That also has to do with the increased clawa that we're purchasing this year versus last year. So the wells to system on an annual basis, we're very close. We're actually slightly ahead of last year. But we lost some ground this last month. The month of July, the groundwater system was down for a couple weeks, and we actually lost well 6 for the month of July, and it's still down. So we lost well 6 after back-to-back power outages. That's the one we recently just did a new pump and motor. So unfortunately, through some trouble, we're in the troubleshooting phase right now, and to confirm the failure, we need to go onto the course and be able to pull the pump and motor. So that's going to have to wait until a later date when we can be less disruptive. And the groundwater system as a whole was down for 2 weeks during the month of July due to bacteriological issues. So everything's back up and running besides well 6. And lastly, recycled water, almost identical to what we've delivered this year versus last year. We're at 111 acre feet so far. And so that's what I have right now. I'll take any questions that you guys might have.
Questions, comments from the public?
There's none.
No, okay, all right.
One real question is on the pump with the outages, how does that affect it? Is it a surge or something that just?
Well, I can say in this last incident, there was a incident at our facility at the ion exchange plant, which is about 5 property addresses down from where the feed is for wells 5 and 6. So I believe Edison may have lost a transformer on that pole. Whether it was related to our issue or not, I can't say. We've had more issues, I can say, in the recent last couple of years, power outages and issues coming from these power outages with some of our equipment than we have had in years past. The variable frequency drives or VFDs that are in place on all these wells are basically the primary purpose of those is to drive the motor at a variable speed. But one of the other things that they do is they do kind of clean up some of the power, but not that's not their primary focus. So we are looking at what we can do aside from those, add some sort of filters or anything else. This is a new issue for us. We have reached out to Edison to see if if they had an issue that might have related to this. I believe we did file a claim in the event that their issue a few properties down may have affected this. So, but we can't confirm anything until we can remove the pump and motor from the hole and just see if there's anything else. So at this point, everything's kind of speculative. And so we'll keep you guys informed, but it's my understanding probably a few weeks to a month out before we can get out there and do the work we need to do.
Anything else? from the board? No?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Matt. General Manager. Governor.
Mr. President?
PFAS.
Oh, no, sorry, one.
Oh, PFAS, sorry, sorry.
I was.
Nice
got it.
try.
Well, I just skip over the.
Detail.
Part of the. Go ahead.
All right, next item, PFAS update. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This item begins on page 50 of your packet. So if you go to page 52 is where I add anything new since we got together last month, any new information, anything that's come along regarding PFAS. So we have some results available on the Bernina blended sample that we take quarterly. That is on the next page 53. And then we also took required samples last week of our Bernina raw, well 2, well 5. And we also added a voluntary ion exchange plant treated sample, just so we can kind of see what it looks like there after the wells. So those results will probably be available by next month. And so the results for the Bernina blended sample did tick up. You can see on page 53, there were 9.2 parts per trillion. So, and that was kind of anticipated. It had to do with our groundwater issues that we were having. And you guys are aware that the groundwater is one of the two things that we use to blend down the PFAS, because it has very little PFAS in the groundwater. So when the system went down, it was on a weekend, we immediately called, had CLAWA increased. And at this current moment, CLAWA is up a little bit higher than it was. So based on timing of when CLAWA can get out and actually turn it up, and when we take the required sample, we had a feeling that it might be slightly up. So it came up at 9.2. The response level is 10 parts per trillion. And again, that's based on a locational quarterly running annual average. And you'll see in the very far right column on the bottom of page 53 there, it brought our average up to 7.9, which is still below the response level. And so outside of that, regarding PFAS, we're still working with our design engineer, N2W, going over comments to the 90% design plans. We've received comments back from the Division of Drinking Water, and we're in the process of going through their comments and still setting up a meeting where we can get the Division of Drinking Water and the district all around the same table to move forward to get some 100% design plans. So I'll take any questions that anyone may have.
Questions, comments? No? Public?
Mr. Vartanian?
Garen?
Yeah. Just questions for Matt. When do you expect the design to be completed? You said it's at 90% right now. So that's my question. When do you expect it to be at 100% and submitted to the water board? And then question number 2 is the lake. You guys last time you guys tested the lake was January, March, April, in May 21. Are you guys stopped testing the lake, like North Bay? Is that because you stopped testing the lake, but you were testing just North Bay? Has North Bay come to a stop also in testing? And then just finally, previously I had asked, we did a CPRA request. Ted Hayek had submitted a CPRA request for zip codes, and I want to know how Michael Schultz got that information. So if the president or the general manager, you guys are busy there, you might have forgotten to answer my last question. How does Mr. Schultz know that we did a CPRA request for the zip codes of the ratepayers in Lake Arrowhead? Those are my 3 questions. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Vartanian, question number 1, when will the plans be completed? We are hopeful within the next couple months. We need to go over the 90% here, discuss it with the Division of Drinking Water. Not sure how many changes are going to be need to be made after this discussion. So it's kind of out of my hands, the district's hands, but we are hopeful that, as soon as possible, but we're also taking our time. We want to make sure that we can get this done right. Very complex project. It's a complex on the state level. It's we want to make sure that we get it not only done right for the community, but we also want to make sure that there's a smooth permitting process as we go forward. So, again, the requirement to get this in place is, 2029, but they're looking at pushing that back to 2031. So, we would rather make sure we, do the right thing for the community and not rush anything at this point. So, we are hopeful to get it done, just like you, and we'd love to get this thing done. We just want to make sure it's done correctly. Next question regarding lake testing. I just mentioned we did some required lake testing in North Bay. It's actually Bernina Raw. We take the sample at Bernina, but it's of North Bay, where the water comes from. We took that last week, so we are sticking to at this point, the samples that are required in the lake. Previously, we did take voluntary samples, so at this point, we've held off of the voluntary samples in the lake. When Cedar Glen Treatment Plant returns to service, we will be required to take samples from that intake, which will be Emerald Bay as well. So we are still doing lake testing. We're sticking with what's required at the moment. And as far as question number 3, I cannot answer that for you.
All right,
I can answer that.
okay, well, go ahead.
Every public records request is a public record that is discoverable, and we state that on our website.
All right, any other public comment, questions?
There's none.
All right, very good, thank you. Now, the general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, in my report, there's, some legislative updates. But I was asked to provide, by multiple people, just a quick fact sheet on our solar project. We are getting that started. We issued a, limited notice to proceed to begin the, design. And so basically, in here on page 69 is just a short summary about the solar project, why the district would want to pursue it. And essentially what it says is, because of our topography, multiple pump stations, all of our electricity costs on a per unit of water basis are very high compared to any other agency. And SE has this program where if you generate electricity in a different place, you can apply the credits to your, instead of having to generate the electricity at the source of the use, you can generate it at a different place and apply the credits to your bills. And this is only available to public agencies, so it's definitely something we should take advantage of because we have 350 acres down in Hesperia, perfect location for it, very underutilized land. So, obviously we've had some issues getting this project going, but thankfully we have persisted. And in this report is also the financial incentives as well. So it's all there and provided.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay. Any? Michael?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right time to ask or not. Do you have the number of the amount of people that have applied for the position of general manager, or are there any interviews that have been done recently?
Personnel matter.
I think that's a personnel matter
Okay.
that we really can't comment on.
Yeah, it'll be discussed in closed session.
Yeah, there's a closed session matter on general manager.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Vartanian?
Garen?
Yeah, I want to thank LACSD. I'm actually very pleased that you guys published a solar project fact sheet. So the expenses that you guys incurred, it actually matches my calculations to the penny. So I'm very pleased that LACSD is finally publishing the cost of this project. You're halfway there at this point. So if the board can look at the second page of the fact sheet on page 70, it's still a losing proposition. You're spending $7.6 million and you're hoping to recoup 5.1 million in the next 30 years. And that's if electricity rates go up 3%. So to know what's going to happen in the future, you look to the past, in the previous 30 years, electricity rates have gone up 3% in California. So who, this, it's impressive. I don't know who designed this fact sheet and who put these projections together, but the scenarios you guys laid out, some of them are, reality, and some of it is in outer space. You have a projection of 3% increase. That's the reasonable number. That's where you make $5.1 million over the next 30 years. So you're actually losing about $2 million. Then you have they have another projection of if electricity rates go up 6% a year, you'll make 11 million in the next 30 years. The most amazing one is if electricity rates go up 12% a year, every year for the next 30 years, you'll make $43 million. You guys are better off. Mr. O'Brien is the guru there. He's the finance CPA guru. You're better off giving the money to Mr. O'Brien to put it into a CD with a 4.5% rate of return. You will make more money by doing that than by going down this road. So it's the second page that you guys should focus on what is your return? What's your expectation of return? And that's basically my comment here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
There's none.
All right, okay. Thank you, Catherine. Next we have action items, number 11.
Good evening, members of the board. See some new faces since I last presented, so I want to introduce myself. My name is Gus Amaran, engineering technician, work for the engineering department. Sitting in here for Scott, who is not with us today. So just presenting a memorandum for you to consider approving a contract for the Willow Creek wastewater treatment plant water line replacement project and determine that the project is exempt from CEQA. So a little background on this project. About 2 years ago, we lost the operation building there at the plant to a fire. So the existing plant is being fed by a 2-inch steel water line that we're looking to upgrade and replace. So that's going to consist of about 6,150 feet of new 6-inch PVC water main that's going to now feed the plant, but also have fire hydrants. So it's going to provide fire flow. So we, July 24th, the district staff advertised for bids, and on August 14th, we received 8. If you looked in there, they're kind of hovering for the most part, 1.2 million or 1.6, and then you have our lowest bid at 875,000. Boarding excavating, we've never worked with them, so if you initially look at that, there is some concern initially because you're thinking, okay, it's $400,000 less than the next bid, so is this going to be a contractor that's going to try to make up for it with change orders? So we researched them on paper. They check out, all licenses are valid. And then they've worked with Redlands, San Bernardino, Palm Desert, Big Bear, all these. So we reached out to these agencies. I spoke to Big Bear. They've worked with them the past 7 years on and off, and they had nothing but nice things to say. Essentially, they told me that they'd hire them in a heartbeat. So I'm comfortable moving forward. The concerns I did have, I think we'll be fine. The fiscal impact approving this item is the 875,000 plus 15% contingencies, and we're estimating that an additional 60,000 for engineering, inspection, and kind of other related costs. So that brings you to a total cost of just above $1 million. It's $1,068,687. The funds are going to be coming from the wastewater capital improvement fund, 210. So as far as environment impact, we are dealing with existing facilities, so we are exempt from CEQA. And with that said, we recommend to the board of directors, we award the contract for construction for the Willow Creek wastewater treatment plant, water replacement project 248 to Warden Excavating, authorize the general manager to execute the contract, and authorize the general manager for 15% on change order. Any questions?
Okay, I'm sure you've probably done this, but what's the logic, do you think, that Borden is using when they're half of their bid is half of.
Yeah.
Your highest bid, and all the rest of them, the other 7 are, other than number 2, are grouped together pretty close.
Yeah,
So those seemingly are gonna do it the same way. We got one lone person out here who
yeah,
has mastered how
yeah,
to do it, maybe.
yeah, so, again, prior to speaking to Big Bear, I did speak to Borden about that, they are a bigger outfit, seems like they've mastered their craft, they kind of have a gap in their schedule that they're trying to, kind of keep going. And then I spoke to Big Bear, from them, talked to them, they said they're the most efficient, one of the most efficient contractors they have. So. Like I said, you're asking me what I'm thinking, Borden, if they're quick and they're efficient and they're in here, 40 days versus, the whole 90 days in the contract. 800,000 for a month, that's not bad. It's not a bad.
No, it's not. Have you asked, and I don't know if you could ask or if they would tell you. They use, what are, you said Big Bear used Borden?
Correct, they've been using them for, the last 7
Did
years.
they obviously, I'm sure, got other bids.
Uh,
And so who were those other bids, not knowing, I don't care what the amounts were, but did they see the same disparity between the vendors out there as we are?
Big Bear, I did not know that.
Well, obviously, they were the
Yeah.
low bidder because they're
Yeah.
also a public agency.
Sure they
Yeah,
were.
I think sometimes with these larger companies, they have, I don't know this about Borden, but oftentimes they use their own forces and have less subs and have their own equipment. So there's not as much markup.
so they don't have any subsidies.
It's a pretty good job because there's not a lot of, it's not gonna be a lot of traffic control. 'Cause it's down a forest road. So it's a pretty good project.
Did you say that this was due to a fire?
Well, we lost so our treatment plant had an operation building that we lost to a fire 2 years ago. That is being fed right now by a 2-inch steel line, so that's what we're looking to upgrade. We're building, obviously, the new building is gonna be built. We want to upgrade that, and like I said, along the way, there'll be fire hydrants.
I was just curious as to whether this was something that was potentially insured
Yes,
and whether there was gonna be anything from the claim coming into pay to offset. So it's not coming from the capital improvement fund, but rather the insurance.
Yes, we did have a claim on the building.
Okay.
I think it was 2 million. Forget exactly. To pay for the replacement of the building, which is currently under construction.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and then my other question, I just kind of just popped out to me, and I don't know if it really matters, but I'm curious. I believe number 2 and number 3 are the same company, and I'm just curious as to why they are operating under 2 separate, and why there's 2 separate bids that are different.
so TK Construction and Trico are different entities, they're brothers that. Yeah, they
They're
used to be
separate.
together.
They're competing now.
Okay,
Yeah,
But they don't talk at all.
okay, got it.
yeah,
Okay, there it is. Okay, I was just curious about that.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
And what one comment I have is we are required to accept the lowest responsible bidder. So Gus,
Yeah, like I said.
you checked it out and you have no reason to
On
find out that
paper
they're not
and-
responsible. So basically we're required to accept it.
Well, it's okay, accept it if they're okay.
Yeah.
Save the money.
If they're not
Yeah.
okay, it's
Right.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe the engineer's estimate was even higher.
No, and at our executive committee meeting, we questioned that as well, but
We'll find out.
we'll find out, yeah, okay. All right, any other questions? Public,
There's none.
none? Okay, all right, entertain a motion,
I move that could we consider approving a contract from Willow Creek?
no second.
okay, so all in favor of awarding the contract, to, Borden?
All right.
Aye,
I,
okay. Contract has been awarded.
Thank you.
Let's hope it gets through there for that 18. That 875. All right, thank you. Thank you guys for your work on checking these guys out. All right, number 12, consider approving purchase of a new fleet vehicle and declaring unit 86 as surplus.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, and members of the board. Just some background real quick on replacing this vehicle. It's unit 86, it's a 2016 Chevy Silverado, it's a 1500. It was involved in a pretty minor traffic accident, but the insurance company completely totaled this vehicle out. We were kind of shocked, honestly. It was just a bumper, maybe a fender. Wasn't much damage at all. But none of the fact, they decided to total that vehicle. They ended up giving us $18,697 for it. What we would like to do is have a dollar amount approved up to $60,000 so that we could purchase a vehicle quicker than ordering one. Generally, it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to receive a vehicle, and we go through the process of actually ordering one from the manufacturer. Instead, we would like to try and seek competitive bids at dealerships that we normally deal with as far as fleet purchases, just instead of ordering, a custom vehicle, try to find something on the lot that we can pick up right away. It's our service order vehicle. It goes out every single day from 7:30 to 5. Very important for us. We're kind of using another one of our vehicles temporarily, not really outfitted for service orders. Doesn't have all the equipment that we normally carry. So we're kind of just making do. But we would like to just have that dollar amount up to $60,000 approved. I wasn't able to get any bids. Anything we try and find, it's not going to be available within a few days or a week. We wouldn't have the time to actually bring any bids to you guys. So with that being said, with that dollar amount, we're hoping that, it's just up to the 60,000. We're hoping it's less than that. We're guessing the vehicle costs somewhere around 50,000, but just to be safe, we're not going to try and spend up to 60,000, but just wanted that dollar amount. Other than that, this vehicle was budgeted to be replaced next year anyways, 26, 27. The $16,697.48 will be placed back into the fund. And there's really no negative impact to the district for purchasing this vehicle.
Did you say it was 16,000 or 18,000?
16,000. Oh,
So,
sorry, $18,697.
And then
47.
is that on top of, you're just gonna put that back in, so the total price of the vehicle would be a maximum of 60,000, not 60 plus 18, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that amount will just go back into the fund, and just that dollar amount will just be what we would like to spend, not including that.
Is this just a sort of a standard truck?
It's just a half ton.
Yeah.
Generally, the Chevy
Four-wheel drive and,
four-wheel drive, correct.
okay, four-door.
Yeah, we try to not do the crew cabs, but the 4 doors so that we have space in the back. Try to keep it as small as we can, but like a regular cab truck or something like that doesn't really work.
So this doesn't have toolboxes on the side or anything?
It does. We were able to take all the old equipment off of the truck before the insurance company came and got it. So we're hoping to just put it right back on the new vehicle.
How many miles did it have on it?
It was about 75,000.
I have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not our normal practice, but I think we need.
I mean, yeah, we had almost 9 years on
Yeah, it was,
it. Yeah.
yeah, we like the Chevy trucks. They seem to do well for us.
Any questions, comments from the board? It's kind of surprising that we couldn't get any bids.
Well, they can find us something. Ford actually wouldn't even give us any. They're like, we don't have anything to offer you.
Okay.
But if we're ready to purchase, then, they kind of just tell you like a generic amount of what they may have on the lot at that time. But when you go back down there, it may not be
May not
that
be there,
trim
yeah.
model or,
Okay. Okay.
Are you
This
going
is-
through
This
fleet
is the
or?
second time that I've heard this, because there was one not that long ago. But that you put it out to bid and got nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
remember
the other
that.
thing about purchasing fleet vehicles as far as like those manufacturers is they only open their fleet pricing on a certain time of year. So they don't even allow us to call and ask for bids until it's like, they have a certain window for say 24 to 25 models, and they cut it off in between. You can't order a vehicle. And I don't know if that's only a fleet thing, but they pretty much, we have to wait for a certain window before that we can even order
You probably
something.
don't call that good service.
Any other questions, comments from the board? No, public?
There's none.
No, okay. I guess, should we buy that Chevy? Heartbeat of America?
I say we do.
Showing your age. You say we do, I'll take that as a motion. We'll second it. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, go Chevy. All right, thank you, Nate. Okay, board member meeting, anybody?
That's me. I had a meeting.
Okay.
It wasn't really a meeting, it was a training. So on July 1st, I completed 2 hours of the state required local agency ethics, AB 1234 training and compliance with Assembly Bill 1234. And I received this training from Vector Target Solutions, and the training provided topics which must be covered, which were laws relating to personal financial gain by public officials, including bribery and conflicts of interest laws relating to officer holder perks, such as gifts and travel and restrictions for those types of things, the Political Reform Act, governmental transparency laws, financial disclosure laws, the Brown Act, Public Records Act, and laws relating to fair processes, including common law bias process and incompatible offices, competitive bidding, and due process requirements. And there were general ethical principles relating to public service as well.
All right. Did you have to take a test?
I did,
Did you pass?
I did.
No, very good.
Thanks.
All right, any other meetings? Next, we have board member comments. Any comments, board? Okay, I do have some comments, and I do want to express my appreciation for the interest the public showed last meeting, and I don't know why we don't have more folks here. I mean, we did have, I think it was the most public comment we've had in a long time, and it was about the finance, which I think is very important. I would note that in regards to the solar project, we're hoping to get close or about $2 million in credits, which would bring down that cost considerably from that $7 million number that Garen mentioned. That project has been around for a long time. When we started it, we certainly didn't anticipate getting sued twice by the city of Hesperia or all that legal fees. And we also didn't anticipate that our contractor would file bankruptcy. So that's been a delay and also increased the costs. Electricity costs have risen dramatically. As we found out as our general manager pointed out in her information, I think it said it was up 12% in the past recently. So going back 30 years, I appreciate the historical perspective, but looking at what's happening recently, it's been up dramatically. And then we're going to have all these AI data centers. They're drawing tremendous amounts of electricity. We have fires with Edison that is going to increase, I think, the cost of electricity because Edison's going to have to pay out billions of dollars for costs. We have EVs. If the governor gets his way, we'll all be driving electric. Well, that electricity's got to come from someplace, again, driving up the cost. The train, if that ever gets built, that's going to be electric, again, using more electricity, driving up the cost. So we have 350 acres that are perfect for solar. I mean, I should say perfect, very good for solar facility. And I think we're using about 5 acres, so there possibly could be room for expansion there, where we could perhaps even use more. So I think it was a wise move. Well, it was something we certainly didn't expect to take that long and cost that much money. But even given all of that, I think we really had no choice, because we do use a lot of electricity in this district. Because of the topography, we have to use electricity to move our fluids up and down, and so we need that. The other new draws on electricity, building. New buildings are gonna be all, because of the state of California, you're gonna have to have almost all electric. No gas blowers, lawn mowers, chainsaws, everything is gonna have to be electric, which is gonna cause more draw on electricity. So that's gonna cost more, make the electricity cost more. So we pretty much have to do this. And then on our courtyard, there's questions about that. That is another project that's been around for a long time. When we first started out, we did have an engineer on staff who hasn't been on staff for a long time, but estimated the cost at $3 million. We were selling our plant over by UCL, our facility over at UCLA for $1 million, if I remember these numbers approximately right. And so for $2 million, we were going to get a brand new building. Well, that seemed like a no-brainer at the time. And so it got voted on. Again, the costs went up a lot more than we thought, and we struggled, the board struggled and the staff struggled, for years trying to get the plant, to get that project done. And it cost much more than we thought it would, but in the meantime, we had sold the UCLA facility. We moved our operations over to Cedar Glen, and we had to have someplace for those guys to go, okay? Because we couldn't keep them at Cedar Glen. That's a residential area, so we had to have someplace to go. So again, unfortunately, that was another project that did go more than we thought. But I would say for almost all of our projects, we do come in very close and under budget most of the time, okay? Sometimes things happen. Construction can be a risky endeavor, and it is, and it goes over, but I think we do a really good job at looking at these projects and getting good value for our customers. So that's my comments, but and believe me, the next time we have a big project coming up, I'll be thinking about this. Okay? But we do, but for instance, we got the PFAS that's gonna be coming up, and we have no choice on that. Okay, all right. But, and I do thank our public and our customers for their interest in our finances. Right, and so with that, I think we're gonna go into closed session.
We will, for the one item that's stated on the agenda, public employment general manager.
Okay, and do we expect to have any reportable? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, all right, all right. Do we motion to go?
Yeah.
To adjourn, to go into closed session?
We will move into closed session.
Well, then we'll adjourn after.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Perfect.